Hey everybody, so this week's episode is really good. I think we had a great time with Stella Price, and you're listening to Muses Memoirs and more. We talk a lot about editing, writing, publishing, what it's really like to be an indie author, and more. So thanks for tuning in, and if you don't mind, hit to subscribe and like it and comment on it, and let me know what you think. Thanks.
WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. Welcome to Muses, Memoirs, and More, Savannah's show about authors, artists, and entertainers. I'm your host, Adam Messer.
WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.
And welcome everybody to Muses, Memoirs, and More. This is a really cool day today. We've got a special guest in the house today, Stella Price. And She had a little bit of a traffic jam on the way here, so but she made it, and she's here. We're going to be talking today a lot about writing, editing, publishing. Stella does it all.
I do it all.
Let's see here. Give me 1 second, y'all. I think I'm having a little bit of a. Try that again.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. I couldn't hear you for some reason, but. Yeah. So a little backstory. I met Stella a couple years ago doing an interview for an author event that she hosted here in Savannah. And we hit it off. We became friends. I picked her brain about writing, especially because at the time I wasn't doing any kind of fictional writing. I was just doing articles and stuff like that. And Stella, just is an amazing doer. Like, you do. You get stuff done.
You sleep when you die.
Right. And so, can you just give a little soft intro about, what you do, who you are, how you came to Savannah?
Oh, well, I'm in publishing. I guess I'm a Jill of all trades because I've been in this for a little over 10 years now. I started out writing with my sister in small press publishing and realized very, very quickly that you had to learn how to do everything yourself because your publishers don't care.
And right there, let's back up. 10 years ago, so this is kind of like the
little
dawn
over 10 years,
of self-publishing, and it was kind of around before, but
it was right before. Well, it was about 4 years before it was okay to be indie.
Right.
Which now it's okay to be indie and everything. The stigma is away because New York publishing has fallen by the wayside. The big five are now the big four. I think actually now, it was the big six. Now it's then it's big five. Now it's the big four, because people are buying other people out and everything. And people are focusing on digital, which personally I think is wrong, but, because print will never die no matter what anybody tells you, especially those people that are sitting there telling you, oh, well, e-publishing is the wave of the future. Well, e-publishing in our industry right now is down 44% from last year. Mm-hmm. So, no, it's not.
So you're all about print.
I am 100% about print,
Yeah.
Because the quality for print is 100% better than a decent amount of what's being put out there in ebook right now because the industry is getting flooded with crap.
Yeah.
So
backing back up to that where you were Jill of all trades.
Yeah.
You basically figured out that if you were going to do it, you had to learn how to do all these different things. So you got into writing, editing.
Yeah. Thankfully,
formatting.
I don't edit. I do format. I have a BA in industrial design, so I do all my own covers. I do other people's covers, things like that. Mm-hmm. I do marketing design. I do
social media.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not that great with social media because I'm I'm a bit abrasive.
I think you're good though with your readers. So, like you have
Oh
a
yeah,
huge
I love my readers.
interaction with your
Love
readers, and
that.
social media
Yes.
is like the biggest avenue for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the only avenue you have right now because
Yeah.
everybody, I mean, it's social media is amazing in so much that you can reach people around the world. I have readers from Australia. I have readers from Brazil. I have readers in Paraguay and Asia, and it's crazy. But nothing beats the good old visceral experience of being in front of somebody
Right.
and
Face to
connecting
face.
with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's hard.
I think next to face, voice to voice, because social media and any kind of written interaction
Yes.
can lose that translation.
And people take what's written in front of them any way they want,
Right.
not the way that
right.
it's supposed
They
to be
might be
written.
having a great day and say, "Oh, this is great," or they might have a bad day and say, "Oh, what in the world?"
Yes,
So
that's exactly it.
I think that's something too. So with your journey, you've
Yeah.
become kind of a master of your trade, and you do a lot of work. That's one of the
Yes.
things I really respect about you is that you're constantly working on projects. You're constantly setting goals. You share your progress with
Yeah,
people.
I try.
And you put out work. I mean,
Yeah.
you put out finished pieces.
Yes.
And I think that is probably the number one issue for aspiring authors is to actually get stuff done.
It's I've learned something in the past 2 years after speaking with a few people that I had mentored. People are obsessed with perfection.
Yeah.
I'm not. My books go through one right through. I do not write a second draft. I do not write a third. I am secure enough in my writing to know that what I write down the first time is what's right for that story. I'm not going to go in there and write a half scene and then go back and retweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. No,
Obsessing
no,
over
no,
it.
that's crazy.
Right,
That
right.
that's crazy pants.
Right.
Is what that is.
Right.
And doing that, you're not an author. You're a tinkerer. You're
Yeah,
not a writer.
dabbler.
You're a dabbler.
Right.
Yes, exactly. You are somebody who has a hobby of words.
And one of the favorite phrases I have, I can't remember who said it, but what's better than perfect? Done.
Done. That's
Getting
right.
it done.
Yes, that's
and
right.
that's something I admire about the last couple of years that I've gotten to know you. You get a lot of stuff done. How many books have you published?
As of Thursday, it'll be 45.
45 books in 10 years.
Yep, in 10 years. And there was 2 years in there that I didn't publish anything because we had a horrible agent, and that's another story.
That's a backstory, folks.
That's not a fun
that you
story.
could you can get into
Yeah.
on her website and
Yeah.
her Facebook
yeah,
groups.
yeah. Just come and
So,
ask me. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Something that that really amazes me too, and I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy here.
no,
but,
it's fine.
As far as indie people go, as far as the folks that I have met,
Yes.
you have one of the most strong. You have one of the best work ethics of constantly saying, "This is the project that I'm doing. These are the goals that I have. These are the words." I remember a couple weeks ago, you're like, "Yeah, we put out 8,000 words today."
Yeah,
That's
her and I.
that's a monumental task. I mean, even for one person, even at 4,000 each.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words in a day.
Yeah.
Especially when the average is 250 to 300 words a page.
Well, that's double spaced. That's weird indents and everything. Now,
Right.
now, throw everything you know about that out the window because that's not true. I don't
So-
care what anybody says.
so-
250 words is is not even 3 paragraphs.
3 paragraphs.
Okay, so
And then
that's
we're
crazy.
talking like 6 by 9 or
No.
size or-
Ours are 5.5 by 8.5 size books.
okay.
There is, I think I figured it out recently. I think there's like 640 words on a page.
Oh, so there you go, everybody.
You know what I mean?
Like
Like-
the standard knowledge is 250 to 300 words
Well,
a
it
page.
used to be that because
Right.
it used to be double spaced. It
Right.
used to be a quarter of the page down to
So
start
things
it.
have changed
Yeah.
and
So things
evolved.
have changed a lot because of e-publishing because you don't have to worry about formatting and stuff. Now, when I print a book, I am slavish to that print, and most of my books are between. I won't print anything that is going to go up for sale that's under 225 pages. Anything under than that, it's not worth it.
And
It's not worth
that's a pretty decent size
Yeah.
book. You it's not too short, it's not too long. It's just
No,
a nice read.
225 page book, I think, is 65,000 words.
There you
About.
go. Yeah.
Around about, depending on the size of your print.
So maybe a little bit larger than a novella, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that's with single space.
Yeah.
That is with your chapters starting 2/3 of the way down. I mean, it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
But most of my books right now are in the 300 to 380 range
Okay.
in pages. So I mean, and when I'm a fan of when somebody comes up to me and they are going to buy a book from me, and a book is not cheap. I'm not going to say it's not.
Right.
It's great. No. A book is art, and art should be paid for.
Right.
And when I sell a book for $12.99, I want you to look at it and say, that is a big book. That is worth the price.
Right. Right.
And you can't do that with ebooks.
I mean,
because
50 years ago, nobody would have thought they'd paid $5 for a cup of coffee.
No.
But today, people, they spend that and more.
Yep.
Because of value.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the interesting dynamics of how an industry can change.
Yes.
And you've kind of, grown up in that industry as, like an early indie, and now, you publish, you write.
Yep.
This is your craft. This is what you
this
do.
Is my career. Is
Yeah.
what it is. It's my career. A lot of people say they want to be an author. They want to write. Most of them don't have longevity. I'll tell you that right now. Most people, anyone who tells you they want to write, have maybe 3 books in them. Maybe.
And they're done.
And they're done because their well is run
Because
dry.
it's a lot of work.
The stories have, because everyone wants to write. Nobody wants to promote.
Right.
Nobody wants to market.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that it is still
I
1978.
definitely want to get into promotion in a little bit here, but that the doing the work, because
Yes.
I think the writing is the first 10%.
Yes.
And then
no, it's not even. Writing is about 5% of your career.
Right, and then the rest of
Everything
it is
else.
if people like you.
Yes.
And if
Well,
you're
I mean,
likable
and that's
promoting and
that's shot in the dark too.
yeah.
Because like you have the authors who are writing to trend, and I think that's great if that's what they're into.
Mm-hmm.
But when that trend changes, they're gone.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in today, you're listening to Muses Memoirs and More. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and our guest today is Stella Price.
Hello.
Hey. And we're on fire today, everybody. Stella's a vet in the publishing arena. I mean, she just knows a lot about writing and publishing and the process. So Stella, I wanted to ask you, this
Correct.
is a question that I think comes up a lot, but when can you consider yourself to be an author? And everybody has a different answer, but I'll tell you what I think in a second, but I want to hear what you think.
When you publish.
When you publish.
The convention that we do at the Welcome event every year, I tell everybody, I'm happy that they are there, and I want them to know that everybody here is exactly the same. We all made that journey to publish. We all have a physical product in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, a file or a physical book.
Right.
You've done the work.
Right.
You are an author. Regardless of how well it sells, you can call yourself that.
Right.
Now, if you're writing because you want the money, I'm not calling you an author.
Right.
Because you're not writing for your heart.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, this status symbol type thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's in, we're in romance. Romance is 40% of the market.
Yeah.
And it's the largest percent. I don't care what anybody tells you. It is the largest percent of the market. Everything else takes up that rest of the 60%. We are 40% of the market. And right now in my industry, in romance, the amount of people that are writing just for the money, you can tell the difference between somebody who loves to write and loves their genre and loves happy endings compared to somebody who's like, all right, well, I can write this because it's going to make me, 4
Formulaic.
figures in a quarter.
Right.
Formulaic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even formulaic. It's Drek.
Okay.
A lot of it is Drek. It's funny. Amazon, a lot of people don't know these figures, but Amazon gets 700 books uploaded a day in the romance industry alone. Okay, that's a lot of books.
That's a lot of books.
That's a lot of books. You know how many of those are readable?
I was talking to Josh Vasquez about that. He said when he got into indie publishing about 10 years ago, and he was talking about reading some of this stuff, and he was like, I could do better than that. I could write better than this. And I think he's one of those people that's passionate about his writing, and he loves it for the craft. He loves it because it's storytelling is an art.
Yeah, it's like any other art form. You have to be decent enough at it to make a living, and you have to be personable enough to keep going.
And that can be very taxing.
It's
public
extremely
events
taxing.
Can be very
extremely
exhausting. And so leading into that, let's talk about your upcoming convention.
Okay.
So Literary Love Savannah,
Yep,
right?
and we're here in Savannah next weekend. Actually, it's going to be awesome. This will be the 4th year we're actually in Savannah.
Right.
We did Authors After Dark 2 years in a row. Well, not 2 years in a row, but 2 years running. And we did an event called New Adult Sleepover Weekend when the NA genre in romance got big, and that was tons of fun.
So set the scene. What is it like for someone who's never gone to an author convention?
A convention is different than a book signing.
Right.
A book signing is a 4-hour event where you walk in, authors are sitting behind the tables, they talk to you, some don't. They sell books, some don't, and you walk out. That is not what we do.
Right.
The event we have is all about reader immersion. It is about making the connection with the reader and the author to fall in love with the product. My best readers, the best ones that I've ever found, are the ones that I have met and connected with personally.
Right.
And
And that
convention
happens
is
when
the
you
best
meet,
way to do that.
I mean, that happens when you do these events and these conventions. You meet people, you make friends.
Yeah.
It's not like just sell. It's a lot of interaction, a lot of conversation.
I don't once do a hard sell. Not once. I hang out with my readers. I mean, the convention is geared towards hangouts. So we have lunches that are themed. We have a dinner with a ball, costumed ball that's themed. We have a movie night that's themed. We have panels about writing and about genres. We have small parties. We have large parties. We have a gift basket room where we raise money for an animal shelter. We raise money for Jasper Animal Rescue Mission every year we do the convention.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love them. That's where I got both my dogs, and they're amazing. And we just absolutely love them. So, and shelters don't get, a lot of the play they need. And so we try and help with that. We have an in-house tattoo artist that comes in. We have an in-house corseteer. She is a master corseteer, one of the only ones in the country. And she will tie you up, and you can see how awesome you look in a new piece of finery.
And what for finery? Can you please explain what that is to the
corsets? If you've never seen a corset, I mean, I'm sure most people have seen a corset or a corset, which is the plastic stuff that you can buy at like Fredericks of Hollywood or some other lingerie store. A corset is a beautiful piece of art.
It's like a period piece.
Yes and no. I have 7, I think, right now. And the woman who comes in, she made my wedding dress.
Oh wow!
And she makes wearable art. She has her own designs.
I remember seeing it the first year I went to the convention.
Yes, and she's amazing, and the readers love it. The authors love it. Authors love it because putting that corset on, you can actually sit and write for an extra hour and a half because you're not keeping all your upper muscles from keeping you up. The corset's holding you up. So you can be like, hey, this is great, done, and you've written another 5,000 words, and it's awesome.
So when it's an immersion experience, like you said.
100% immersion experience.
And the whole setup with the events, the panels, the interactions is so that when the person goes, it's almost like escapism.
Yeah,
they
it
go
totally is.
into
100%. This is the readers that come,
stepping
the
into another
authors
world.
that come. you're hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
You're hanging out with people who understand you.
Yeah, you don't have to
Because you're-
explain,
you're a
why.
book reader.
Yeah,
You're a
yeah.
bookworm. They're bookworms too.
Yeah, they get it.
We have two readers that have come 2 different years, and one of them, she actually came from the Netherlands.
Oh, cool.
She came up to me and she gave me a hug and she says to me, "I am finally with my people," because everyone there is super nice. I don't play with egos. I don't stand on ceremony. You can be in your pajamas all day. We don't care.
Right.
It's just about being there and being comfortable with yourself.
Right.
We do like games night where you can play Cards Against Humanity or Unstable Unicorns.
And this is a 3-day event, right?
This year, it used to be 4 days.
Okay.
Next year will be 3 days as well. And for the next 3 years, it'll be at the Marriott for the last weekend in July.
Okay.
And
they can, not to cut it short, but they can find out information on Facebook with Literary Love Savannah.
Yep, they can.
Just by
it's all there. And our Saturday signing is open to the public from 2 to 4. So if people
Anybody
are
can
listening
go.
and they want to come down on Saturday, that's next week, from 2 to 4 in the Savannah Ballroom C. If you just go in, you'll see the thing. There'll be a line, and you can walk in, and you can check out some new authors. You can buy some books. You can check out some new people you might want to find an ebook if that's your thing.
And I think it's important too, like with building these kind of events, because we were talking earlier about e-publishing.
Yes.
It disconnects the author from the reader.
Yes.
And growing up as a reader, I don't think I ever really met any authors as a kid.
No. I didn't start meeting authors until I was in my 20s.
There was no social media.
No.
I mean, you might pick up a magazine. You might be able to.
I
see
knew what
something.
Stephen King looked like because I
Right.
had seen his picture at the back of a dust jacket.
Right, but there was like today. It's almost like you get to know all these different details
Yes.
about people, but there's still not that connection.
No, not at all.
It's almost like you're looking through a window.
Yes.
And I think these type of events, even with the author signings, I think it's really important.
It humanizes the
Exactly.
person writing.
Yeah, exactly. And you give it not just a face, to the written word. You give a voice, and you give a personality.
Life. Yes,
and
a life to the people who are giving you those words.
Yeah.
It's wonderful because most of my most amazing readers have gotten to be my readers not because they found me on Facebook or they read my ebook because they were a fan of the publisher that I was with or whatever. They found me because we were at a convention together or a signing or something. It doesn't matter. I can go and have fun at an insurance seminar. I don't care, nothing. But when it comes down to it, I will find a reader and I will talk to them.
Yeah.
And it's not about my work. I'm not giving them a hard sell. I'm just like, hey, oh, you like that book? I like that book too. And we will sit and talk for an hour about something in that book.
A
and all
little
of a sudden,
backstory here,
they become
everybody.
friends.
I've been to several different conventions with Stella over the last, 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
And Stella is one of those folks that she doesn't just say it. Literally, she is out there talking to people, and you always sell books, but that's not your focus.
No, it's not my focus.
You
don't
sell
get me wrong.
out
Okay,
almost every time.
That's not true.
I've seen
the
you at a
focus is
convention.
always to sell books
It
because
is,
you
but
want to make
it's not
sure
your
you.
primary.
No, it's not. It's not my primary.
Yeah.
It never is. It never is because a sold book is fine, but if you don't make that connection, you're never going to have that reader again.
And there are people that'll buy the book and won't ever read it
Oh,
if
yeah.
you don't if you don't capture their interest.
Exactly. But see, okay, now here's the cool thing about print. Ebooks, people return ebooks. Okay? Print,
Yeah.
people send that print on to somebody else.
Right.
Ebooks, they don't do that. They'll just return it and you are out whatever money that
Right.
you actually made, the paltry amount that you're making from Amazon or anybody else. With a print book, they don't like your book.
They'll
They
donate
know
it, they'll give
somebody
it to
who
somebody,
does.
or
And they will give that book to somebody.
It has a life.
It has a life. It has a history.
Yeah.
And
I love picking up a used book and it says to so and so,
Yep.
I often will go shopping. I'll go hunting at Goodwill.
Well, yeah, I
And
used
I'll
to do that
rescue
all
books.
the time.
I rescue books.
I do that as well. I was in California visiting friends in Yucca Valley, which is in the middle of nowhere, sand, California. And we walked into this bookstore, and the bookstore had sand on the ground. Like that's how old this place is.
Wow.
I think I bought 12 books. Now I was flying home, but I bought 12 hardback books, and I think I spent $7 on them. But these are all like beloved books that I found in hardcover, and I was like, 25 cents?
Yeah.
What is this doing in the
Yeah.
middle of the desert?
I know, you see a book and you're like, what? Was this meant for me?
Yeah, exactly.
This was put here just for me?
Exactly.
And I think that's part of, being a bibliophile. You not only do you love reading, but you actually love the book.
Love the book,
Love that
exactly.
smell, of the paper. I think I read an article somewhere where it said older books, the way that they published it.
Yep, books have a smell. They do.
have like
The
a
old book
vanilla
smell. Yep,
type smell
they
because
do.
of the way that the paper
The paper
process.
was corrected. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I love about having that tactile feeling
Yes.
of a book, especially.
Yes.
I like hardbacks better than paperbacks, but I mean, I don't mind picking
Well,
up
no,
a paperback.
hardbacks are the ones that you cherish.
Right.
Like I have a hardback edition of Stephen King's Eyes of the Dragon with the illustrations inside it.
Wow.
And friends of mine are like, can I borrow that? I'm like, you are out of your mind if you think this is leaving my house.
Right.
You are
You're like,
crazy.
no, you can appreciate it from
But
here.
that book is out of print. So
Yeah.
finding that book is like super hard,
Yeah.
but I have one and it's my baby,
Right,
and
right.
I have several books like that. I have Clive Barker's Imagica. I have Clive Barker's Weave World. Both of them are out of print in hardback, but I have them and they're my babies and
Yeah.
they nothing's happening to those. Those are
You're like,
that's it.
no, you can take
You
a
can
picture.
look at it. Yeah, you can look at it. You can
If your
pet it
fingers
while
are
you're
clean,
here.
you can
Yes.
you can thumb through it or whatever. I think that's the cool thing about it too. But yeah, I agree with you. I think a book, a physical copy of a book, if it's paperback or if it's even if like a little e-zine. I've seen people put
Yep.
together like just a little e-zine. They're like, this is my first copy.
Yep.
I'm just trying to put it out there. I met a guy that was doing that. He just printed 12 copies and
Yeah.
bought it. And I was like really proud of him because I was
Yeah.
like, you're out there, you're trying to get
you're
out
trying
there.
to get out there, and that's awesome.
That's
And it's a lot harder in the digital world because,
Oh, yeah.
and everyone's like, well, it should be easier. No, it's not.
No.
Anybody who is aspiring, let me learn you something here.
Listen up,
digital-
everybody, because this is going to be educational.
Digital is bad for you trying to become something unless you are writing exactly what they are reading at that moment.
But that's not to say that you shouldn't do
No,
digital
it's
at
not to
all.
say that you shouldn't
it's just
do it.
That's not going to be your primary.
That's not. It's everyone's like, oh well, I can make X amount of dollars doing digital. Yeah, sure. For how long if you're writing to trend?
And I
Because
think the other
trends
thing, too-
literally change every 8 to 12 weeks.
Oh, I can believe that. I think the other thing too is with the 700. Like, let's just say, for
Yeah.
instance, you're a new author,
Yep.
and you're one of the 700 that day. Multiply that by 7.
Well, and it's funny because and I've said this before, with 700 books out a day, that means they have to slug through 650 books to find 50 books
And the
that
algorithms
are
they use
decent
are
enough
not
to
going
read, that are edited, that have a nice cover, that aren't book stuffed, that aren't scam books and everything.
Right.
That you have to. Readers don't want to do that anymore. They do not want to do that. They do not want to slug through, and then
Takes too much time.
it takes more time than it does to read.
It really is not worth it. I mean, I picked up a couple of audiobooks today.
Yes.
And I was on
do love my
Audible.
audio.
And I love audiobooks. But I was on Audible and I was looking and it said, well, these are some suggestions for you off of our new releases based off of your prior purchasing history. And I started looking and I was thinking the exact same thing you just said. I was like, I don't want to spend the next hour browsing through,
Well, and a lot of the time that doesn't even mean your purchase history. It means not your purchase history. It means what people are paying Audible or Amazon to show you.
Right. That is true. I mean, the promotion.
It's become-
Facebook does it with
Yep.
their ads.
Yep.
You know,
And Amazon's now doing it with ads as well.
And you can't blame them because that's where they generate the revenue, and that's how they pay
Exactly.
the content creators,
Yes.
I'd like to call it, instead of, because you have a lot of different content creators. So if you're tuning in right now, you're listening to Muses Memoirs and More here on WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul, and our guest today is Stella Price. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes after these important station announcements. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back in just a minute.
WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
WRUU brings you the most diverse and passionate local radio programming on the air in Savannah. This all-volunteer and non-profit community radio station accepts no money from any form of government. Our diversity and independence is made possible only through the generous financial support of listeners like you. We rely on your annual and ongoing monthly contributions to cover the many costs associated with bringing you our broadcast and web programming. If you are a contributor, thank you. If you are not yet a contributor, please show your appreciation of the role WRUU plays in your life by becoming a contributor in any amount. You can donate quickly and easily by credit card or check. Just find the donate and subscribe links at WRUU.org. Thanks for listening to and supporting WRUU.
Tune in Saturdays at 3 p.m. to Muses Memoirs and More, your show about authors, artists, and entertainers with your host, Adam Messer. You're listening to WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
The Ogeechee Riverkeeper offers monthly canoe and kayak excursions in all of the river's watershed through October. This year's paddles will take adventurers from the river's twisting and turning northern sections near Wadley, west of Augusta, to broad coastal stretches near Harris Neck, south of Savannah. The trips range from beginner to intermediate in difficulty. Boat rental is available. For more information, visit OgeecheeRiverkeeper.org.
And welcome back to Muses, Memoirs, and More. If you're just now tuning in, thank you for listening. Today's guest is Stella Price, and I'm your host, Adam Messer. You're listening to us on WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. Stella, so thank you for being here today. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
I do want to share this with everybody listening in. We have the business auction coming up. So when you're, and I apologize, I was looking at the wrong copy there, everybody. That's what happens with live radio. There's going to be things that happen sometimes. But WRUU 107.5 FM's summer business auction is right around the corner. Now is your time to donate a gift card or certificate for a product or service to be auctioned off in an online catalog next month. If your business uses gift cards or certificates, or if you can donate a gift card or certificate in any way, please let us know. Your donation will help Savannah's community radio station continue to provide unique music and talk programs that you enjoy. To donate a gift card or certificate, email fundraising@wruu.org. That's fundraising@wruu.org. Thank you for listening and supporting WRUU. And everybody, I really appreciate you helping out with the business auction, because your donations help me to be able to have a program like this to interview authors like Stella. Thank you for being here, Stella.
Thank you for having me.
And so it couldn't happen without you, the listeners. So thank you very much, everybody, for doing that. So this first half an hour, we were talking about just your work ethic and publishing, and you have over, you said 46 books?
45 right
45,
now.
okay.
As of Thursday.
As of
45,
Thursday.
Yeah.
We talked about e-publishing versus print, and your love for print.
I do love print.
And we're both bibliophiles. We love books.
I love audio too. I do. I think I have 20 books in audio right now. So
I like the audio because you get a chance to hear it in the author's voice a lot of times.
well,
And then there's also the fact that there's kind of like a theater performance with some of them.
that's well, mine are all mine are
And I really
done
think that's
by
cool.
an actor.
I think that's really cool because
And I love it.
It gives it a chance, like for nonfiction.
Yeah.
I love hearing it in the author's voice.
Yes.
For fiction, I think having that actor
Yes.
or actress or whatever play that role.
Yes.
Or, I always dig like British accents.
Yes.
So having like a British accent of someone reading a book, and I know that
Yeah.
you have some ties in
I do.
to England.
Yeah. So it's to Scotland, but
Scotland,
yeah.
okay.
I grew up with Fireside Theater. And I mean that's old school radio play kind of stuff
Right.
and everything. Nick Danger and all that crazy stuff. When I got into it, and when audio became a big deal, for me, I basically said, I want that kind of experience for the reader.
And I think going back to that
Yeah.
radio experience, I grew up as a kid listening to talk radio, and
Yeah.
I used to listen to Coast to Coast a lot as a
Yeah.
kid, and some old radio serial programs.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be a total nerd for saying that.
No,
but
no,
I
'cause
thought it was so cool.
I'm telling you, when I grew up, I was, we had like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of like Orphan Annie. Yes, but Fireside Theater was a lot different than that. That's some weird stuff.
Yeah.
It was, crazy stuff from the late 60s, early 70s. And they did radio shows like, War of the Worlds and stuff like that. And if you actually get a chance to listen to any of it, it is hilarious. It is so funny, and it's clean funny too.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not dirty funny. Right? It's
Yeah.
just funny. And
Well, like Doctor Who, the new
Yeah.
series, they have the television show.
Yes, they
They
do.
have books.
and
They have
they have
audio.
the radio show. Yes.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of a neat thing because, for example, I've done some events with people who were deaf, and I've done some events with people who had visual impairment and things like that. And there's a different medium.
Yes.
I think audiobooks, video, audio, reading.
Yeah.
It's all the same message. You have the
It's
same
all-
a story.
It's just a different way to convey it.
Right. It's a different medium.
I
Right?
have readers that only listen to audio because they cannot sit and focus on the written word.
I have a friend like that he has ADHD, and
Yeah.
he can listen to audiobooks and get the same information.
Exactly.
But to ask him to sit down and read through a 300-page book,
Exactly.
it's
yeah,
not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen.
But he loves the audiobooks.
I
He actually is the one that turned me onto it.
I absolutely love audiobooks. I love my audiobooks. I love my main guy, Joshua McCrae. He's done the majority of my books in one I guess universe, and he's still doing stuff because there's so many books in that universe. But he is so much fun to work with. He does voices, he does accents. You can tell it's different people. It's not just him. I mean, I ask him all the time. I'm like, "Are you Sybil?" He's like, "No." He's an actor. It's what he is.
Yeah.
So it's what he does, and he has a ball with it. And I have a few other ones that I've worked with that I absolutely love. Kylie Stewart did my Genie and Assassin series, and she just made it super fun. I worked with Stephen Barnett for my Gods in New York series, and he made it super fun too. I might not get the best reviews on ebooks because, well, what I write in does not translate to an ebook reader, especially in my genre. But if they listen to it in audio, they all love it. So it's just it's one of those things.
I want to dig a little deeper
Yeah.
into your process. Okay. So she's grimacing, everybody.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know.
Well, it's not about that. The easiest for me to explain it is this. I don't really have a process. Somebody kind of shows up in the old brain meets, and I either write about it or I don't sleep.
Okay,
That's it.
But
There's no process in
that
it.
is part of like the process, though, in a way, because that's how you get things done. I just
Yeah.
want to pick your brain a little bit
Yeah.
about there's days where every day you write.
Yes, every day.
Every day
at
you
least
write.
I put 500 words down every single day, whether it's on a book I'm writing by myself, book I'm writing with my sister, book I'm writing with Kay, book I'm writing with somebody else. Every day 500 words are down, regardless.
Do you start with an outline?
No.
No outline.
Well, no, with Kay I do because we kind of have to because it's
Okay.
two of us writing. With my sister, we are the same person, brain meats wise.
Right.
So we kind of just feed off each other. Like seriously, like she'll call me and she'll be like, "We got to do this," and I'm like, "Okay." And then and it's like upping the ante on each other, which is hilarious because I mean we've thrown a werewolf into a giant boiler room and killed him, and that was like the top of what we were at. And I'm like, we need to cut this off.
Do you, instead of outlining then, do you verbally talk out
No.
a scene?
No.
Just you just kind of
with-
set it and say, "Hey,
with
let's
Kay,
go with this."
I do. We usually we'll have a loose outline.
Mm-hmm.
With Lindsay, I don't.
Okay.
When I write by myself, I'm a pantser, 110%. I know where it's starting. I know where it has to end. Everything in the middle is a complete surprise to me.
You're just like, okay, this is where they start. This is where I know they're going to
Well,
finish.
I know
and
they
then
have to meet.
they have a journey in between.
They have to meet. They have to end up together.
Right.
Everything in between, I have no idea. It just kind of comes out, and the ideas come. Now, certain characters I show up with because I have to make them. 9 out of 10, that's not true. 9 out of 10, they kind of just show up in my head, and they start screaming, and they're telling me things, and I need to write this down, and that's it. And that's in my, at least in my way of thinking. That's the difference between a career writer and a hobby writer. Hobby writer wants to write certain things because it's interesting to them. A career writer writes what comes to them,
Right.
regardless.
Gotcha. Well, we were talking. I was talking to Wen Strock about characters coming to life, and you were just saying a minute ago or a second ago that these characters sometimes are shouting at you, saying, "Hey," So your characters, when you're visualizing them, they're actually alive for you.
Yes. Oh no,
And
they
you're
live.
documenting.
They're
You're kind of
there.
like documenting what they're doing.
Yes. I don't know where half the stuff comes from half the time. I honestly don't. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
What? Okay. If you ask my sister, every single character that lives with her has their own favorite song, has their own favorite drink, has their own favorite TV show. When she's working with said character, those things have to happen.
And this is part of what I'm saying about the process.
But that's not my process.
I understand.
That's hers.
But I'm just saying it's different for everybody that
Yeah.
writes.
Yes.
There's not one single
No, there is no
way.
there's no single way to write a book. However, the difference is your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Are you writing for money
Right.
and fame and fortune? Or are you writing for the love of writing?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
I think to go off of that same
Yeah.
sentiment, I also feel like it's where your heart is.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because-
Writing for the love of it is something completely different than saying, "Oh, well, I have bills to pay."
Right.
Let me tell you something. I don't care what
Making a
anybody
living
tells
as
you.
an author is not
no,
easy.
it's not that it's not easy. It's unfathomable. Like seriously, it's unfathomable because the people that you see that are making the money are about 1%. Okay?
and not to knock anybody,
no,
but you'll
what I'm saying
see
is
some of the
that-
famous authors that'll have 20 or 25 copies of different books. I mean, like 20 different
Yeah.
current published copies of books out there, at your supermarkets or, at your bookstores or, wherever people, want to pick up a book. You'll see, and that market is just the
Distribution is
commercial.
different. Yeah,
It's not
distribution
even
is
indie.
different. It's that's distribution.
Yeah.
And most people don't understand that when you have a distribution deal, that means you have a New York published deal. That means that you get a advance.
You're in the
Okay.
in the bigger markets.
Yes.
You're actually where retail locations
Yes.
are.
But the problem with that is that you're writing what they want you to write because that editor
Right.
is the person that is honestly going to change that book to what they think the market is.
And I think that's where people get confused because they see the big names
Mm-hmm.
and they think, oh, well, they're living the life that I would like to live.
They're not.
And it's not the truth. That's just
No,
not
it's
the
not
way it
because,
is.
All right, anecdote time. A couple of years back, there was the giant craziness in publishing where publishers were picking up left and right urban fantasy and paranormal romance authors like they were candy.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Everyone you knew was either getting a contract, getting a 6-book contract, getting a 2-book contract, whatever it is. And then 2 years later came the Great Exodus. The Great Exodus was because the industry bottomed out. These people were like, oh, well, I've got all this money now and I've got all this and everything. And they never promoted. And publishers, regardless of what you think, do not promote you. They promote their top 1%, which is King and Barker and Nora Roberts and all those big ones that you know. Those are the ones, that's why you know them, because the publishers put the money into that. So all of these authors, all of a sudden, were getting contracts canceled because their books were not selling.
Hold that thought for
Mm-hmm.
a second. If you're just now tuning in, you're listening to Muses, Memoirs, and More. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and our guest today is Stella Price, and you're listening to us on WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. So, Stella, you're talking about the promotion of the 1%ers or whatever.
Yes.
And I love, I mean, honestly, I love some of those authors.
Oh, no, I absolutely, but they've
What I'm
made
getting
it
at
to
is
where
like
they need to be.
peeling back the layers for the industry.
Yes.
And then comparing it to indies.
Yes.
Because when you're talking about indie versus commercial,
Yes.
it's a whole different world.
Well, the difference between that is that indies have their finger on the pulse. New
Trending
York
and
does
things
not.
like that.
Because, case in point, a couple of years back, after that horrible book that everyone seems to read, I'm not even going to say it, got big and movies were made of it and everything, and it ruined a lot of people's lives and it ruined a lot of people's, livelihoods and communities they lived in and everything. New York decided they were going to start picking up everything that was basically fan fiction. And so they did. They picked up a ton of stuff that was doing well in indie world that was fan fiction. And now a lot of those authors aren't publishing because New York got on it too late, picked up those books after they had already sold 100,000 copies.
Right.
So who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy it?
Nobody.
After that? No one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
New York is 18 months behind indie because it takes 18 months to publish a book with New York.
Versus you could write a book today and
Today
publish
and
it
put it out in a
tomorrow.
week.
Yeah.
As long as you have an
Yeah.
editor, and I stress it, get an editor. I stress this. Have an editor, a real editor, somebody who understands syntax, sentence structure, point of view. Get an editor because otherwise you're going to be one of those books that I'm calling dreck.
Yeah.
Because those things these people
It's
don't
not well put
understand. They
together.
think, oh, well, I saw X, Y, and Z write this, and I can write that too. No.
Right.
And if, please, all that is decent and holy, if you are going to write a first-person book, learn how to write a first-person book. First person is the hardest point of view to write. Because if you know how to write it correctly, it's a story. If you don't know how to write it correctly, it's me telling you what happened.
Right. It's just all about tell and, and it can be kind of boring.
It's awfully boring.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but as somebody who reads, not only writes, but reads, I think it's lazy writing because you're only seeing one side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing that person's situation, that person's setup.
I'll give
You're
an
not
example of
seeing
something
what's
that-
going on with you. Like I could be, writing this book right now. I don't know what's going on in your head. I don't know what's going on in anybody else in the studio's head. But you are reading me, and that is boring. You know?
I think Dracula is a great example
Yes.
of epistolatory writing.
Yes.
Because you had different characters, you had their journal entries, and first person point of view.
Yes.
But because of the way he wrote it, it didn't feel like you were just seeing it from one perspective.
Correct.
So
you were reading a story.
and I think that's it's a classic. I love the book, and then the movie.
Yes.
I think it's a great
it's
retelling of
yes,
it.
a nice retelling. Yes.
Yes, and the first
Visually, it was beautiful.
yeah, right. It was an incredible movie. I think when you're talking to and I was saying this earlier when I asked you, when can you call yourself an author? People ask me, when can I call myself a writer? And I tell them, I ask them, I said, do you write? Do you actually do what you want to do? Or you say that you're wanting to do? And I think that's a big disconnect. Not just the perception of, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make $1 million. You can't just put something out there and say, here it is. And then expect everyone, because outside of your family and your friends circle, you're going to have, however many hardcore people. Mm-hmm. I mean, even like, let's just say you had 100 people that they promise you they're going to read the book. How many actually read it?
Oh, no. That doesn't happen. There is, one of my girlfriends was talking recently about, an author she was working with. That got extremely upset because her debut book only sold 70 copies. And she expected it to sell these huge things because she knows so many people. And she says to her, just because they know you does not mean they support you in that respect. And that's the same thing that happened with me for the longest time, doing Authors After Dark and everything. Everyone knew who I was. Everyone knew what I was doing, but whereas friends of mine that were doing the event were getting better sales, they were getting further, they were getting better opportunities and everything. People were like, well, why isn't it you? And I said, well, it's very, very simple. Just because they know me doesn't mean they support me. I'm like, they support me as a con because of what the con can do for them. Right. But they don't support me as an author because I cannot do anything for them as an author. And that's another problem in this industry. Right. Is that it's become very cutthroat, at least in the last 5 years. Been very, very cutthroat.
I think that's a lot of industries.
Well, no, it is, but it's become worse recently. Where especially in romance, it's become
entertainment
very
in general
high school.
is.
No, it's very high school now. Yeah. It's not like a lot of these authors are not doing the who reads me. It's well, who do you know?
It is,
and that's a lot of crap.
Entertainment is. I think in any kind of entertainment industry, there's a lot of
it's road apples. That's what that is. It's road apples.
With we've got about 3 minutes left on
fabulous.
The show. This hour's gone by so quickly. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm just really happy that you were here today. What is something that for the aspiring author listening, or the person that's just they're a fan fiction writer and they're like, I've never really published. I want to publish. What is the number one thing that you think that they can do on a daily basis? That they could take away from this program today and be able to apply it to what they're doing and be able to use it moving forward. That can help them.
Write every single day. I know people telling you, oh, well, you write when you need to. No. You write something. If you are not published, if you do not understand what your process is, quote unquote, if you don't understand what it takes for you to finish a book. I just use the word process
but
if you don't understand what it takes to finish a book, write every single day. I can tell you right now that the first book you write is going to be horrible. That is not the book you publish. You put that in a drawer, you read it later on, and you tweak it back out, and you make it something awesome. The first book you write is not going to be the book you publish.
I've heard that from a lot of different authors that they didn't like their first book.
Lindsay and I published the first book we wrote, okay? And it works for us because it's not written in a written kind of way. It's written in more of I want to say a TV, like if it was a TV show kind of way. It's easily turned into a screenplay.
Yeah,
it's
screenwriting.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And we plan on going back and rewriting it into a novel, not just a screenplay novel, put it that way.
Yeah.
But most people, especially people that don't have English in their background, i.e. English, not as your language, but knowing how knowing how to apply English to your writing, do not publish your first book. Just learn syntax, learn sentence structure, learn grammar, learn points of view, learn these things beforehand, because a lot of these people cannot handle publishing a book and then getting horrible reviews because they're badly edited or they don't understand sentence structure or they don't. So my thing is write. Learn how to write. Like, write something every day. I don't care if it is a letter penned to your grandmother who died 7 years ago and you're never planning to give it to somebody. Write something, because the more you write, the better your craft becomes.
Everybody, you've been listening to Muses Memoirs and More. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and our guest today is Stella Price. Stella, thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
And just one more time about your Literary Love Savannah.
Oh, we're doing Literary Love Savannah next weekend at the Savannah Riverfront Marriott from 2 to 4 on Saturday. The event is open to the public. It's a big book signing. There's 40 authors.
And they can find Literary Love Savannah on Facebook, right?
Yes, they can.
Okay. All right, cool.